And our 12 points goes to Ireland. This sentence was heard many times in the 90s. And why Ireland has been so successful in the 90s and what's going on wrong right now that Ireland is not so successful in the 2010s, and how this could change again and bring Ireland the next victories. That's all about I want to talk in the next minutes, so don't want to waste any time. Let's get into it. Yes, welcome to another video, and as you can see, I continue my little series. Part 1 was why Sweden is so successful in Eurovision, and now I want to talk about Ireland, still the reigning champion in the world of Eurovision, 7 victories, and I mean, their time was definitely in the 90s. I mean, they won 4 times in 5 years, and a lot of second places, so they were really the queens and kings of Eurovision. And first of all, we look at the voting systems from the 90s versus the voting systems from the 2010s. So in the 90s, we had jury voting. This was the big point. We had jury voting. The televote was introduced later at the end of the 90s, so juries decided on the results. And as you all know, in 2010s we had 50% jury and 50% televote. So this is one big difference that also, of course, I mean, we see it in Sweden 2010s, but of course this is also a point that it could be a reason why Ireland was so successful, because there was no televoting. But I mean, this is of course not the only reason. I mean, Ireland almost every year they had a really powerful song with that really interesting song that really stood out, and this is something always wins. If you have a song that stands out, you are one of the favorites and you might win. I mean, they also had Jonny Logan 3 times and 3 victories. He is the guy with the dribble in the 90s. No, it wasn't in the 90s, but he had 2 victories as an artist and the 3rd one as a songwriter for Niam. I don't know how her name is called. It's really unpronounceable in my opinion, but that's a different story. But Ireland really had this luck that they had Jonny Logan, but of course this is also something you can always say, okay, Jonny Logan is there, so it doesn't mean that nobody else can do it. I mean, it just did not happen after Jonny Logan that someone wins again. But I mean, this is also luck. But I mean, Ireland really had the flow in the contest. So 50% jury voting, no, 100% jury voting, and no televote. And I mean, Ireland had a passion for Eurovision. They really had, from when they won for the very first time in the 90s, which was in 1992. There was this interest and this euphoria in Ireland, and everyone went crazy. So this also is a really big point. Then Eurovision wasn't such a massive event as it is in the 2010s, as it is right now. So it wasn't that expensive to host the Eurovision Song Contest, and it wouldn't have been even a problem to host it for a second time. So Ireland was like, okay, we could do it. And then they just had such a great interest from artists that are really, really big in Ireland or are just talented. So great artists are interested in going to Eurovision, of course, because of the success that's going on. So more and more artists are like, okay, I would love to go to Eurovision as well. And great songwriters, great artists, great songs, and great Eurovision results. So this is the point. And that's why they won in 1993 again, and then in 1994 the same, even more interest, more euphoria, and the next victory came. In 1995, Ireland did not win. Norway won in Ireland, but Ireland was in the top 5 as well, I think, so great result as well. So same happened. And I mean, of course, then in 1996 it was like, okay, Eurovision is not in Ireland, but we still had great results, so a lot of artists really interested in going to Eurovision. And Eurovision is popular because of great results, so that's the point. And then they won again, and then this great decade came to an end, and Ireland wasn't as successful again. And why? This is the big point. Why is Ireland not so successful? I mean, obviously, the voting system has changed. The televote and like the viewers had more influence on the result. And this is something that always happens. I mean, we can see it with Sweden right now. And of course, it also happened to Ireland that there was this, I would say it, favorite hate, like Ireland hate in the 90s and Sweden hate in 2010s. They just did not want to go to Ireland again. They were tired of the Irish success, of the Irish entries, and were like, okay, another song from Ireland, we don't want to go there again. So this, of course, also is a reason why Ireland flopped and did not, like, why the success wasn't there. So the juries might vote for them, but you also need a televote, so this is the point. And then Ireland wasn't so successful, so like the most recent Eurovision always influences the next one. If you are really successful in, for example, 1996, then this influences 1997. But if you had like a negative strike, like 4 years in a row, not in the top 5, for example, in Ireland's case, or in the other cases, like right now, Romania not being in the final for 2 years in a row, then this is also something like it influences a lot, because artists aren't that interested anymore, and also the attention and popularity for Eurovision is getting lower and lower. They aren't really interested anymore, and this is why this happened. So I would say, I mean, I did not do any researches for this video, so I just do this based on my knowledge about Eurovision, and so this is what I think. So you might have another explanation, but this is just what I think. And of course this continued, and then there was that 1 year when Ireland was successful again, and when there was a hype about the Irish entry. This was in 2011, when Chedward performed. It was like, okay, Ireland is back again, they have a great song, it's different, it's not a ballad, but it's great, and Ireland made it to the top 10. But then Ireland did this mistake and selected them again for 2012. A big mistake, I would say, because like it can work once, but it can't, or it can of course work a second time, but it's not so, it's not really likely that it happens for a second time. And they're like, okay, we saw Chadwick last year, so this isn't something special, just the same over and over again. So this is also the wrong way. They should have selected a different artist for 2012 with a song from the same songwriters from 2011. So the same production team, the same team behind Chadward, with a new artist, a new fresh song for Eurovision 2012. And this would have worked. And this is also the way I can imagine Ireland would have or could have been the like biggest contest, biggest competitive for Sweden, because I mean this is also the year when Sweden started their strike. So this would have been the chance for Ireland to come back, but now it's working again for Ireland, I would say, because in 2018 Ireland made it to the final. It wasn't a place in the bottom 5, so I would say it's a great result for Ireland. So of course in 2019 last place in the semi-final, so that's a negative thing, of course. But I am really optimistic about Leslie Roy and her team, because her song in 2020 was really good, I would say, and I think that it would have made it into the final and probably even been one of the dark horses for a potential top 10 result if they stage it right, and of course running order and so on. But it's just a song, like an up-tempo song, and so many ballads, so this is really something that really works in this case. But of course they need a new song for 2021, but I think it can really go well. And if they have probably a change in their team or in their delegation, something fresh, something new, and then Ireland can be successful again. And I wish that they are back, because Ireland had so many great entries, so many great ballads, but they can also do different things, like the funny part of Ireland, like Chadward, so it can really work out. And I would be happy to see Ireland back succeeding and yeah, just being successful again. What do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you have other explanations about Ireland's success in the 90s and about this bad results that followed in the 2000s and 2010s? So about this low that's going on right now. So what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. I want to record more videos about countries' results, like from the bigger nations. So next might be France or Italy or the United Kingdom or Germany. So those nations, or Russia, like just nations that are really popular in Eurovision and really gave us a lot, or are giving us a lot right now. So thank you for watching, and keep up to date if you follow, and then see you soon. Bye.